All right, this is review for the video for the quiz on Monday. Okay, first question is going to look something like this. All the questions are pretty similar to the ones we have on the quiz. Just make sure you're paying attention to how you do the work because none of the numbers are the same. So we're going to simplify all of these numbers all of the ones in the first four. We're going to be simplifying. So we need to check this. We're going to do the tree. That's 8 times 10. This can split to 4 times 2. This can split to 5 times 2. Now I'm circling all prime numbers, and then I'm going to shrink it to 2 times 2. So now you're checking, do I have any pairs? When you have a pair, that pair becomes one number and comes out of the square root. So I have this pair, and I have the pair of 2's over here. So I have a pair of 2's, so a 2 is outside. Then I have another pair of 2's, so another 2 is outside, which means they're going to multiply. And then when the number that's left inside stays inside. Now remember, if there's two numbers inside, they're also going to multiply inside and give you a new number inside. So the answer for this is 4 square root of 5. All right? Now let's do this one. When you multiply these, you multiply the outside numbers, 2 times 3, that gives you 6, and then you multiply the ones inside the radicals. So 7 times 14, that's going to be 70, plus 4 times 4 is going to be 28, so 98. So square root of 98. Okay, now 98, I know I can simplify. Okay, because it's divisible by, wait, what's it divisible by? It's divisible by 49, actually. 49 times 2 and 7 times 7. Okay, so I have a pair of 7s, so a 7 comes out, and now it's with the 6. So now we have 6 and 7 outside, and the 2 is left inside. So the answer to this, 6 times 7, is going to be 42 square root of 2 is the final answer. So when you multiply, you're not done. You have to check if this can be simplified. Okay, now let's go over 3. First, let's simplify the 20. That's the more difficult one. Okay, that's going to be 10 times 2, and then 2 times 5. It wasn't that difficult. So, and this is the difficult part of this. So you have a pair of 2's, so 1, 2 comes out. So we know a 2 is going to be on the outside. Okay, and we know that inside of the square root, we are going to have a 5 on the inside. Now look at the x's, the y's, and z's and their exponents. So I have 3 x's. This is x times x times x. So I'm going to have one pair outside, but there's going to be one remaining inside. Here, there are 4 pairs of y's. Okay? Because there's y, 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 y. That's 8. So 4 pairs looks like this one comes out. Y times y times y times y comes out to y to the 4th. Now z, same thing. There's 4 pairs, but then there's 1 left over, so that stays in. And you are done. That is your answer. All right? Now this one. First, you try to reduce this if you can. And this one can be reduced, and you're left with 1 over 3, correct? Now let's write it in another form, which is the square root of 1 divided by the square root of 3, which is the same thing. The problem is you're not allowed to have a square root on the bottom of a fraction. So you're simply going to have to multiply it by 1. Okay? If you multiply something by 1, it doesn't change the number. It just changes the way it looks, just like this. So square root of 3 divided by square root of 3 is 1. But we're going to multiply it because we know that the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 just equals 3. And the square root of 1 times the square root of 3 gives you the square root of 3. This is my final answer. There's no square root in the bottom, and I know for sure that this is the same number as the original. All right, let's go over here. Now we're doing this one. This is when you're looking at here. Okay, this is square root of 83, square root of 83, square root of 83. These are all the same, okay, which means you can just add them as if this was 3x plus 2x minus x. So 3 of these plus 2 of these, so this is going to give me 5. but then I have minus 1 of these. So if I have 5 of these and I subtract 1, I'm going to be left with 4 of these, and that can't be reduced. So we'll leave it like that. Now this one. Okay, we're looking here. Now we don't, right now it looks like they can't combine like terms. You can't combine it. But you don't know that for sure until you simplify them. These are not simplified. Okay, so let's simplify them. This is going to become 2, 9, 3, 3. So this is going to become 3 square root of 2. 3 square root of 2. Okay, so this one's done. Now there's going to be a plus sign here, and now we're going to do this. 30 turns into 3 and 10, 2 and 5. So there are none. So it just comes back to 3 times 2 times 5, which comes back to 30. So we're left with 4 square root of 30. So that's the reduced version. Now the next one is, there's going to be a minus here. This is going to be 2 times 25 and 5 times 5. So this one's actually going to be 5 square root of 2. So I messed up there, 5 square root of 2. So I can combine like terms. The first one and the last one can be combined. I didn't know that from its original form. So now I know it's 3 square root of 2 minus 5 square root of 2. So I'm left with negative 2 square root of 2 plus 4 square root of 30. And there's my final answer. Now let's go down to here. Now this is number 7, so don't think there's a 7 there. So square root of 3 times this is going to leave me with 3 square root of 6 minus 3 times this, seeing as though this is not being affected, it's just going to be 2 square root of 18. Now, this is a simplified version, 6, because it's not divisible by 4, so I know that this is fine. This is divisible by 9, so I know that a number can come out. So 9, 2, 3, 3, yep, the 3 is coming out. So a 3 is going to come out, it's going to multiply with the 2 and create a 6. So the answer is going to be 3 square root of 6 minus 6 square root of 2. And that is the final answer, because I can't combine these terms because they do not have the same number in the square root. Here we go. So here we're distributing the 2 square root of 8 first, because all of this is multiplying with all of this. So we're going to distribute the a with all of this. Then we're going to distribute the square root of 8 with all of this, and the square root of 2 with the 3 to all of this as well. So 2 square root of 8 times 2 square root of 5 gives you 4 square root of 40. Then 2 square root of 8 times square root of 3 gives you a positive 2 square root of 24. Then 3 times this one is going to make a positive 6 square root of 10. And then this one is going to be 3 square root of 6. Now, I know this one can be reduced, I know this one can be reduced, I know this one cannot be reduced, and I know this one cannot be reduced. 10 is not divisible by any of the perfect squares underneath it. So it's not divisible by 4, and it's not divisible by 9. This is not divisible by 4, this is divisible by 4, and this is also divisible by 4. Okay, so I know that it's going to be 4, 10, 2, 5, 2, 5, I mean, not 2, 5, this is 2, 2, sorry about that, 2, 2, 2, 5, sorry, I was jumping ahead in my head. So I have a pair of 2, so a pair of 2 is going to come out, so this is going to be 8 square root of, this is left over, so there's a 10 inside, okay? Plus, this can also be reduced, so it's going to be 4 times 6, 2, 2, 2, 3. So a 2 and a 2 are going to come out. That's going to multiply with that. It's going to be 4, and this is going to be square root of 6. Okay? Next one is going to be plus 6 square root of 10. We already said we can't do anything with that. And 3 square root of 6. Now look at the final answer. I can combine like terms. 8 square root of 10 with 6 square root of 10 gives you 14 square root of 10. And 4 square root of 6 plus 3 square root of 6 gives you 7 square root of 6. Okay, and you are done because you can't combine those like terms. Last 4 is going to be, you have to leave x by itself. I want to know what x equals. Okay, so how do you get rid of the radical? You square, and then you square this side as well. Everything here gets squared. So the 5 is getting squared, and it's going to become 25. And this is getting squared and just going to become 5. But before they were multiplying, and they're still multiplying here. So the answer is 125 equals x. Now check this one out. How do I get rid of how do I leave x by itself here? You square everything because you can't do anything inside of here until you've gotten rid of the radical. You square on this side. Now you're left with simply x plus 4 equals 9 times 2, which gives us x plus 4 equals 18. Then subtract 4 on both sides. You are left with 14. Now we're going to go here. Now we're trying to leave the x by itself. Now we can't do anything inside of this radical until we get rid of the radical. But we can't even get to the radical until we get rid of everything around the radical, which is this minus 6. So we're going to add 6. We're going to be left with radical 2x over 4 equals 4. Then we're going to get rid of this by squaring. We're left with 2x divided by 4 equals 16. Multiply by 4 on both sides. You are left with 2x equals, that's 40 plus 24, that's 64. Divide by 2, x equals 32. Now let's do this one. Same rules insist. I can't do anything in here until I get rid of the radical, and I can't even get to the radical until I get rid of everything around the radical. So I have to get rid of the 5. So minus 5, that leaves me with 4. And then we have to square to get rid of the radical. We're left with 4r divided by 5 equals 16. Times 5 times 5, 4r equals 80. Divided by 4, r equals, in this situation, 20. So we are done. And that is your quiz review. Good luck.